Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Insight Fantasy Podcast for AFL. Before we kick off tonight's episode, we as an Insight community want to pass on our condolences to not just the Walls family on the passing of Robert, but also to the family of the Selwoods for the passing of Adam, who tragically 3 months ago also lost the twin brother in Troy. Having been someone that has struggled with their mental health in the past, it's important to know that there is help out there for you in your time of need. Lifeline and Beyond Blue do a fantastic job providing the support you might need to help get you through any bad times you might be going through. If you're not comfortable contacting either of those agencies, please message a friend, a family member, ring, do whatever you need to do, go for a walk, or just someone you trust and talk about it. Get it off your chest, because it's not weak to speak and it's okay not to be okay. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into tonight's episode.
It's time to strap in and get ready. The leaders in AFL SuperCoach are incoming, helping you win your leagues and climb up the rankings. You're now listening to the Insight AFL Show with your hosts, Big Horse and Skitty.
Hello, and welcome to the Insight AFL Show. I'm your host, The Horse, and with me tonight, I've got my man that eats numbers for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And even when Hurls girls ask him for dessert, he goes, "Oh, can I just have a side of numbers?" And Silvertop Hurls, how you doing, mate?
Oh, I'm really good, mate. The numbers I'm eating aren't big enough. I'll put that out there straight away. But doing okay.
Yeah, pretty big week. Not just from a SuperCoach point of view, but I guess from a whole of the AFL world and the AFL fraternity losing, another member of our AFL family to a mental health illness, but also a long-time server of the game and AFL premiership coach, someone that, he coached the Brisbane Bears for a long time, and Fitzroy and what have you, and spent a lot of time in the media promoting the game that we love and we get to speak about today in Robert Walls. So while it is great to have the footy around, I think it's important that we recognise both the Selwood family as a whole, because they have had a massive impact on the AFL family and the AFL community as it is, but also Robert Walls and his family as well.
Yeah, well said, mate. I think it's a great call out, and we were chatting in the WhatsApp group during the weekend, and when the news came through, and people saying, it's our inboxes are always open. Like I know you're 100%. Always available. I'm the same. If people want to say g'day, or they want to talk SuperCoach, or they want to talk about anything, we're there. And sometimes it is helpful to talk to somebody who you don't know. It's like not a family member. It's just someone that you associate with via SuperCoach, like we are. So yeah, anyone out there in the community, our DMs are always open. And if you're not doing okay, then say something.
100%. And Cheese, you're right. Categorically, this is the best SuperCoach channel. I did send him a voicemail on the weekend, and I think he got a bit moist from it. So we'll get around him. And we've got Kerry O'Keefe in the chat. How are you, Skull? Mate, it's been a big week. But to start us off, mate, Squiddy's not here. He's with the family, but we're going to have to run the squeeze of the week. The week is brought to you by The Standard Squeeze, who are helping you drink responsibly and conveniently. You can go to the website, thestandardsqueeze.com, and use the code INSIGHT2025 to get yourself 15% off everything in store. Now, we did have a winner, and then we didn't have a winner because Rowan Marshall topped us out at 179.
Massive score today. And I know a few people bought him in. They were going for the value ruck, so well done if you did that, and a few others who went with Max Gawn who are kicking themselves. But it is 1 week, so if you've got Rowan Marshall, you'll be ecstatic today. But it is West Coast, and it is one game.
100%. JD, I normally wait for the comments at the end, but you're right. Self-reflective writing, meditation, reading, cold showers, exercise, and not going for St Kilda are some of the things you can do to help improve your mental health.
We can relate to that as Bomber fans, JRD. We agree.
Yeah, and Junkie. Deadly is under there somewhere, under the couch. He's not actually tall enough to see over the top of the couch. So the fact that I've taken the ladder off him tonight, we're not going to see him. He's actually out at a family do before he comes down to Victoria this weekend. We're going down to watch the Dreamtime at the G game. Should we get stuck straight into the teams, mate?
Let's do it.
So on Thursday night, ended up being one of the better games of the round for me. Gold Coast knocked off Hawthorn, not by much, but Nando's, 152 SuperCoach points. Looked really good and just had the ball on a string, didn't he?
Yeah, we've been saying that he's been due to have one of his spike games. He was sort of hovering around that 100 mark all season so far, and the second Darwin game seems to be the one that he loves, and so he had a cracker. It was actually a really good matchup though, because Newcomb didn't lower his colours either. They were going head to head, and he was probably Hawthorn's best too. So it's a really good contest, that one.
Yeah, it was. But who saw John Noble doing what he's doing? Just getting ton after ton after ton. He's quietly been one of the recruits of the year.
Yep, 1,001 metres gained. He held the record for, I think, 48 hours for the season for the most metres gained. Yeah, he's run off halfback. I mean, when you start to look at how the Gold Coast are going about it, you can just see Dimmer's fingerprints all over this, can't you? So you got Noble and Rioli slingshotting off that half-back line. It's just really, really reminiscent of how he set it up at the Tigers in 2017 and onwards for their flags.
Yeah, for sure. Matt Rowell gets 3 Matt Rowells this week, 124 SuperCoach points, and look to be getting back towards his best. But if you don't have him, please don't look at trading him in. The Darwin conditions suited him down to a T. And next week, I think they've got St Kilda, don't they?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. If it is and it's in Melbourne, you're probably not going to want to pick up Gold Coast because knowing St Kilda, they're the type of games that they bounce back and just crush teams. So Took Miller, the run of hundreds, when we're talking SuperCoach points, is gone with a 99. Jared Witts co-rucking with Ned Moyle worked really well against the very tall but not very good ruckman in Ned Reeves. 112 for Jay Witts. Dan Rioli, the up and down season continues for him, a 90. Bailey Humphrey, for those that held on to him, 97. Congratulations, but that is a roller coaster if you've ever seen it. When we're talking not SuperCoach Hurls, because we are in the midst of opening our own AFL show in the coming weeks, is Ben Long perhaps the best small forward in the comp at the moment, alongside, your Higginses and these sorts of players?
Yeah, I was going to say, different to Higgins. Like, Higgins is the pure goal sneak forward. He's kicked another 5 today. He's in great form. Ben Long does it a bit differently. Pressure, contest, like contested marks inside 50. He took a couple of crackers on the weekend, one over Sicily and one in the goal square. So yeah, he's been in super touch, and probably from nowhere really. I mean, he's always been just a bit kind of player, and he's going really well. I think he was, I don't know if it's still holding up. Champion data numbers are a bit weird, but he was number 7 ranked player in the AFL. I think it was going into this weekend, so he wouldn't have lost any spots on that game. No, spot on. Sam Flanders continues his bad season, and while we were looking at him at one stage to be a downgrade option, I think we can just forget about that altogether, Hurls. Yeah, the role's just not there. Even with a few extra CBAs available because Will Graham missed, they gave them all to Humpty. So it was nothing for Flanders. He's sitting on that half-forward flank, and it's just not an option for SuperCoach. No. For the Hawks, they were gallant, but unfortunately ended up losing in the end. John Newcomb continues his really good season, 29 touches and a goal for 121 SuperCoach points. Those that have him will be stoked. Ginnivan, 86. No, we're not going there. Carl Amon, he's really interesting. Carl Amon, 105 and 30 touches in this one. So he's going at 3.05 points per possession. My maths is a bit off there, but still
if he can average 100, it's not a bad. I don't think he's a top 6 defender, but a top 10 defender maybe if he continues this.
Yeah, he's been thereabouts. I think he had 1 or 2 down games, but other than that, he's been really good.
Mm-hmm.
Great ball user off the back line. I mean, the Gold Coast Suns are pretty friendly to that role, so you would have expected it to be the case this week.
Yeah. Dylan Moore, 69 SuperCoach points. That hurts a little bit. I don't know whether we can go there this year, Hurls.
Nah, look, especially with so many forwards being relevant, you know, the value guys who got DPP, like your Chad Warners and Petrarcas that many of us jumped on, I'm not sure you're going to have a spot in the forward line anyway. And if you do, don't know that Dylan Moore is going to be the one to grab it.
Yeah, I don't think so, mate. I think you're right. And not really too many more to speak about there, but Massimo Strunzo. No. That's like that nanny off. Is it the Family Guy? No, is it Family Guy? Yeah.
He's not doing it this year, is he? He's
not.
He was good last week, poor again this week. He's up and down. I'll tell you the one SuperCoach relevant guy who shouldn't have ever been SuperCoach relevant, but he was to many people, Giath. So CJ was just terrible. And I don't know if that's because now this week, they got the defenders back. So Battle and what's the West Coast guy's name? Why can't I think of his name? Barras, that's the man. Barras came back, and maybe that meant CJ didn't. I don't know. I was always skeptical. Those who went there will make some cash because I think he had a really nice
negative break even.
But it's going to be a trade again in a week or two.
Yeah,
it's probably a lesson to us that all those guys at that $320,000 to $380,000 mark. And we've all probably got a bit of an eye on a couple of them because, you know, Philippou is on the bubble next week. They have to, if you're going to bring them in as cash generators, they have to be reliable. Any 60s and they just kill their cash gen.
Yeah, they do. Spot on. Let's go to the next game, mate. And that was between the Sydney Swans and the Carlton Blues. While we get the stats up on the screen, for those of you that are listening on audio, give us a thumbs up if you are listening at the moment. We would appreciate that on YouTube. The Swans get it done after Carlton lead at halftime again and then find a way to lose. Now, I'm going to be a bit kinder to the Blue supporters tonight. I know that you're not a big fan of the Blue supporters, Hurls, but after being in this position and Essendon getting smashed, I'm going to sympathise with them a little bit. It hurts. It sucks. And be less shit. There you go. So Isaac Heaney.
that's all they're getting.
Yeah. Isaac Heaney, 38 touches, 138 SuperCoach points. We know that Deadly's got him on his radar as a pod to bring in. What do you think? Do you think that it was just good because Carlton's are not a very good team? Because Sydney have struggled this year. They're 18th for scores. So, that's worse than West Coast.
Yeah, he's a bit of an interesting one. Like, he won this game off his own bat. So he went in the middle.
17 touches in the third quarter, I think it was.
Yeah, he was the one who just dragged them over the line. It was really, really impressive. He's playing a little bit of like that sort of midfield, go forward. They have to play him forward because, like you said, their forward line is really struggling. I think Papley might be back in a couple of weeks. That might help.
We do have Phil in the chat. So, Phil, if you do know, please drop it in the chat, mate.
Yeah, but Heaney's having to spend a little bit more time forward. I don't know. And when they get some of these other blokes back, like does Mills come in and play in the midfield, which means Heaney then still does get the opportunity to play a little bit more forward. I think he's a good watch, but I've only got him as a watch at this stage rather than just a buy because I don't know that role is going to be massive scoring every week. Like this week, he was just brilliant. If he does that every week, he'd be the most owned player in SuperCoach in a month's time. But that's not. You can't expect that.
Phil's just put in the chat, and I did want to bring him up. Callum Mills returned to action in the VFL, 18 touches and a goal. I'm pretty sure that was in a half or just over a half a footy.
Yeah, it was.
So I know it's a big step up from VFL to AFL, but for someone of his quality and the way that he goes about it, just to get through a half a footy, getting the hard ball because he was playing as a midfielder, to kick a goal and to get through that half, will we see him next week or will they try and stretch him out to a full game in the VFL and then bring him back? So I want people just to be wary with their timing on when they go on Mills.
I think the other thing you got to be a little bit careful with, and he's definitely on my radar. If he can come into the AFL team, have CBAs, and here's where I'm thinking he fits in beautifully. Like if Roberts can just hold his price he's going to drop a bit of cash this week because he had a high break even and he only got 84? It was still okay, but it wasn't great. If we could unlock some cash by going Roberts to Mills, I think it would be really nice. But to do it, I want to see Mills twice. I don't want to take a risk early because there could be sub-risk. There could be, anything could happen. So I need to see 2 games in the seniors first.
In the last 2 years, how many times has he played 3 consecutive games?
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head, but I know he's 0. There you go. Yeah, and his injuries have been weird injuries. They haven't been in-game injuries, but that doesn't change the fact that you're still buying a player that you don't want to have to ditch before a price rise. So I'll be definitely waiting 2 weeks.
Cheese, categorically, he will not save your season. I'm going to use that every time. Chad Warner with 126. He was good again. Brodie Grundy against Shitnet, 135. Jake Lloyd with a 96. Hey, someone that we didn't bring up on the Hawthorn team, for those that may not have gone and didn't pick up Marshall and decided to hold TDK, Lloyd Meek has a 203 break even and could be 450k in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's still, I think he's got a 42 last week that'll be in his system for a couple of weeks. So, he will be really cheaper. Again, I'm not one to necessarily muck around with the ruck line. But if your team, can do it, if you've still got Flynn, for example, you maybe want to go there. Maybe you go to Flynn to Vicentini and then Vicentini to Meek in a few weeks. If you want to use some trades to make cash in that flex position, maybe that's your play. I don't know.
Yep. I think we're not going to go too far into it, but I want to bring up Sheldrick because there were some people that went with him because he was so cheap. And there's others on social media like, fuck, have we missed a trick here? Like he was on 71 at halftime and he finished on 81. So clearly ran out of gas. He was on 16 touches. So he only had 5 touches in the second half and had a lot of time on the bench.
Yeah.
But Papley coming back, Mills coming back, Goulden eventually coming back. He played a good game, which probably saves him for next week, but it's very much a week-to-week play for Sheldrick there, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think he played well. I like what I saw.
Absolutely, he did.
I think he's a good ball winner, but like a lot of these midfielders who are struggling to bust into their teams, and you can probably very different players, but you could bucket Sardis, Hustwaite, Boxall, Sheldrick. They've all got deficiencies, and that's why they're not straight in. And so, unfortunately, what seems to happen, they get their opportunity, and then they do one thing wrong, and then they're out again. So I just don't know if that's going to be something to jump on. We know he can win the footy, but, I don't know if it's a SuperCoach pick that I'll be trusting.
Yeah, Matty Roberts with 84 SuperCoach points. You've just got to keep holding him because there's definitely other ways that you can improve your team without trading Roberts if you've got him. But Miami bias, Riley bias, he's done.
Yeah, Phil's man. He'll be happier if he was not just SuperCoach done, but if he was Sydney Swans done, I think. And look, I agree with Phil on this. He looks shaky in a contest.
Why though? Because he started so confidently.
I don't know. In space, he looks good and he can hit a target and all that, but in a contest, he looks very shaky. So I think,
he does.
And look, sometimes we've got to remember he's 6 games into an AFL career, so this can happen. But I think, and I'm a holder up until now, I wish I sold him last week so I didn't have to cop I think he's going to lose about 15K. And I wish I'd punted him last week, but anyway, I didn't, so I'll be punting him this week for sure.
It happens, mate.
Yeah.
I lost, 10K? Oh, no, probably not quite 10K holding Caleb Daniel, but we'll talk on that later on.
Yeah.
Chera, for those that held on to him, congratulations. Well done. 142 SuperCoach points. I know a lot of people who held him all the way through, traded him out last week. But for those that held, nice work. Patrick Cripps, 108. You wouldn't consider him as a top 10 SuperCoach midfielder, Hurls?
Nah. He's going to have his good games. He'll have better games than this too, where he'll probably get 140, but he's not going to get anywhere near the top 8 that we need. Midfield M8 is roughly about 115 average, and I don't see Cripps being in that ballpark.
Yeah. Georgie Hilt with 119 just keeps on keeping on. Harry with 93. Now, let's talk about this guy, Shitnet. For those that don't know who Shitnet is, his name is Mark Shitnet. So what happens now? Because I actually thought he did okay.
Yeah, he did, but let's draw some parallels, and I have to give credit to Grundy because I called him washed last week, and Goldie beat him. But Goldie beat him categorically, and Goldie's on a pension, but he bounced back and he beat Shitnet. But Shitnet did hold his own. It wasn't it was okay. He just wasn't giving them the drive that they needed, and so. I don't know. For me, it'll be interesting whether TDK comes straight back in, Shitnet straight back out, or whether they say, well, we've got the round 12 bye. Let's give TDK a really good freshen up and let's hit him in, hit the ground running in round 13. I can't see them playing 2 because the domino effect of them playing both is McKay doesn't then play second ruck, and McKay plays much better when he's second ruck. So I think they have to play 1.
It's like when McKay's is up in and around the ball and forgets about the goals, he plays like a footballer. But then when he gets within 50 metres of the sticks, he's like a deer in the headlights. He gets the ball and he's like, oh, what the fuck do I do here? Do you know what I mean? So the fact that Harry McKay plays that second ruck role, it sort of enables him just to play a bit of carefree footy, obviously still within a team structure. But, yeah, if you've got Shitnet, you got Shitnet and you got TDK, and then you got Nkone, and then you've got Kerno, and then you're all of a sudden going a bit top heavy, aren't you? So we've seen last year that when they did that, they lost. Were they like 2-11 when they both played together? And
something like that.
When TDK played as a lone ruck, not that it's the same this year, but it's like 9-1 when TDK is a lone ruck. So if you take last year's data, they're a much better team with just TDK as the ruck, but who knows what Voss is going to do.
Yeah, but we have been saying as well that TDK looked tired last week. He needed to freshen up. How they do that will be interesting. I'm not Michael Voss, clearly. I'd be more inclined to play TDK 1 out for 5 weeks and then play one game every 6 weeks with the dual ruck setup, or even give him a full spell every 6th week or something. Now that's not what SuperCoach owners want to hear, but I don't know that TDK can go 10, 12 weeks in a row. He just starts getting too tired.
Do you think if we see TDK and Pitnet playing together, then that's TDK's papers signed, off he goes to St Kilda?
Yeah, it might have something to do with it. I don't know. I don't know how much we read into these kind of things that are often, either media-driven or fan-driven. You hear it all the time. If this guy doesn't get a game, he's going to go, or if this guy doesn't play in this. I don't know that the players are all like that, but you just never know. I don't know the bloke, so I don't know whether he would be putting that kind of pressure on.
No. Matt Carroll, for those that held on to him, 31 SuperCoach points, and you've just got to keep holding because he's not making enough cash to do anything. And Jesse Motlop, now he's in the box seat to be the main small forward there at Carlton, and he genuinely looks like he's playing netball amongst footballers. Hates contact.
Yeah, he's ordinary at best.
Yeah. I had high hopes for him. I thought he was going to turn out to be, a nice little forward, but he's doing nothing to prove that right.
And this is everyone out there knows my hatred of Carl scum. So you take what I say about Carlton with a grain of salt because it's clearly biased, but they have so many that are in that same mold that when the game is flowing their way, they can kick a goal and they can look fantastic, but when it gets a bit tough, they don't. And I will put a lot of clubs in that boat, not just them, but they've got a lot of them.
There's a few comments in the chat coming through like, Hurls, you dislike Carlton?
It's a surprise, I know. Well, I said a couple of nice things about them tonight. I think that was pretty good.
Yeah,
they did salvage an otherwise pretty poor weekend, really. Like, at least as Essendon fans, when you start the weekend off with a Carlton loss, even though Essendon was worse, it still dulls the pain a little bit.
It does. Shitting it best on in the showers, according to karaoke. Cheese, let's touch on this because I see our man PW from the UK. How you doing, brother? Good to see you in the chat, mate. Let's assume that it's a 50-50 call to trade TDK to Marshall this week for the cost of a trade. Who feels better this week?
I said last week.
Yep.
I said last week if I was going to be trading TDK, it's to one of the big two. And if it's not to one of the big two, I'd be holding TDK. And I still maintain that. Yes, Marshall got 186 this week. Everyone against West Coast does. Carlton play West Coast in round 14, and TDK will probably get 160 that week. I think if you're gonna move your ruck line, and this is maybe my stubbornness. I don't know. I've had a poor couple of weeks, and maybe some of my stubbornness is coming back to bite me. But I like to not make 25 ruck moves. And so if you're going to make a move, I want to go to the big two. And if I'm not going to the big two, I don't really want to do it. Would have worked this week, though, so I would have been wrong, right?
I went the big two this week. I ended up paying up for Gawn. And it did help. And with some lucky scores, I guess, or lucky primos not scoring well, I've got options, Maxi Holmes and the like this week, who have brilliant runs on the way home. Let's move on to the next game, mate, which was Collingwood and Adelaide. I thought this was actually a ripper game.
This was a good game.
Even though it pissed rain and the umpires, I'm sure Squid's going to give the umpires another fucking belting on Wednesday night. But there was one particular call that changed the momentum of the game, and that was Wayne Malera, who handballed it to his mate on the far wing, and he got called for a throw. Collingwood turn around, they get the free kick, they kick it inside forward 50. Jamie Elliott takes the mark, kicks a goal, puts them up by 3 goals going into the last quarter. That was, holy fuck, that was terrible.
Yeah, I don't even recall, to be honest. I had this argument with my better half who's just jumped into the chat to say, here we go, about umpires already. I have this argument all the time that I just don't think the umpiring is what I would be commenting on most of the time. There's some really terrible decisions. Obviously, they're shit. We know that. But I just don't know that. Look, if a team can't cope with a bad call or two, then they're not up to it. That's my view.
Yeah. A good umpire is an umpire that doesn't get noticed. For sure. So
I'm not saying there weren't shit calls. I think there's shit calls every 5 minutes in every game of footy.
Look, Essendon aren't going to lose to the Dogs by 90 points without shit calls.
No, it would have only been 83, right? So but these are the things. Like, there's a couple of times that I can recall, and in the emotion of a game, I often yell and say that's ball or that's whatever. I get it.
Yeah.
But I can only remember probably 3 times that stick in my memory where I say Essendon were just shafted and it definitely cost a game. And have they been shafted in other games umpiring wise? Yeah, sure. But I don't know. I don't worry about that stuff. Maybe I'm sounding like a coach. The coaches will say stuff like that, don't they? We control what we can control.
Yeah. Stop that talk.
But this was a cracking game, Horse. I think to your point, the rain made it really interesting because if you wanted to say there was one factor more than anything rather than an umpiring call, I think the heavy rain was the biggest factor. Adelaide are a ball movement team. Adelaide are a ball movement team, and Collingwood love chaos. I think it's almost like one of those games that Collingwood probably got the win that you would expect in those conditions. Mm-hmm. But I think Adelaide would have loved the opportunity to play against the best in those conditions because they'll be better for it. I think that's going to be one where later in the year because finals is about chaos, when they get to that, I think Adelaide will be better for that experience.
Isaac Rankin also kicked 3 out of bounds on the full kicking for goal as well.
Shanked a heap of them.
Isaac Shankin. But anyway, let's get into some Supercoach scores. Nick Dacos, because I'm not worrying about Braden Maynard. Well done for scoring 117, but not on this show, mate. 95. So he's gone under 100 3 times in a row. People are going to see his break even, and it's going to be around 180 next week. He's going to lose coin, but I plead with you. They have North Melbourne next week. Do not trade him.
You can't trade him out. Like, he's been. I made this call in chat during the week. Like, the thing that has been hurting my Supercoach the most this year, I've done not much different to last year. My philosophy's been the same. My trading's been the same. The difference between me this year and me last year is the blokes that I've bought in as my upgrades include Dacos, Zach Merritt, and they've tanked. They've been shit since I bought them in. They've had one good spike score, and the rest of them have been 80s and 90s. And the guys that I've traded out of everyone else has kept, like Chera 148. What was the other guy? Callahan was getting 130s, all this kind of stuff. So I think if you've got Dacos, ride the pain. You're gonna want him later. You can't get out of him. But if you haven't got him, happy days, because you can buy him in 3 or 4 weeks' time.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Side bottom, you're not getting him 102. Josh Dacos is interesting though at 116. Got a lot of the ball, 29 touches across half back, mate.
Few jumped on him, been a good little pod defender, I reckon. He's I think that's a couple of 115 pluses in a row. I think if you have him, you're going to be happy with that. If you haven't got him, do you go there? I don't know. I've got 3 defender spots probably that I need to fill, and he's in the conversation, but probably Sinclair. Now that Nasiah Wanganeen-Malera had a shit game, he'll come down shitloads in price. Max Holmes. There's a lot of options for your defence. So, but again, these are the decisions that make or break the run home, because you don't get last month's scores, you get the last 15-week scores, and you've got to get these upgrades right. Spot
on, mate. Dan Houston, 94, still not looking at him yet. Still got some more cash to drop, and we want to see some more consistency in his scoring. Jeremy Howe with a 128. That was a direct correlation of Darcy Moore not being there and him playing Darcy Moore's role, and probably playing it better than what Darcy Moore has been playing it. So
I'll tell you what was evident, and you've got to give them credit. They've had a plan for that 3-week block with the 5-day breaks, and they rested Howe, and then the week after they rested Pendlebury and a few others, and Howe just looked fresh. He looked really fresh. So you got to hand it to them. They've done well to get through that little block and bring these old guys, because they're all old. They're all pensioners. They're all coming out on the other side a bit fresh, right?
Yeah, they are. Let's look at Adelaide here. Dawson with a 132. He let me down when I bought him in last week. He's back this week. Thank you, Mr. Dawson.
He loves the pies. He loves the pies. He kills them every time. I don't know who they got next week, but he's a yo-yo and a half. If you could just be consistent, he'd be one of the best Supercoach players in the comp.
Yep. Spot on. Laird, 117. Rankin, 90. That could have easily been a 120 game. Slug, Saligo, 114. Peatling with a 95. Yeah, not too bad. Probably still want to upgrade him at some stage. Thilthorpe in the wet, 103. Very nice. But apart from that, is there anyone we're seriously considering here?
Look, I think a little bit in the same conversation as Josh Dacos. You could say Rory Laird as a defender is going to be in that 10 to 15 mark if you want it to be a bit spicy. But probably not. Dawson's going to be on people's radars if the price is right. Rankin will be on people's radars if you don't already have him. The rest, I don't know you're going to charge into them, are you?
I don't think so. No. Let's go into the next game, mate. And it's
who we got? Oh, this
Port
is one of the
Adelaide
this is one of the games I haven't seen. So I don't know if you can help me out here, horse, or
Yeah, I can help you out a little bit. I didn't see too much of it, mate, because I was commentating the basketball with rookie coach, absolute ripper fella that he is. Now, hamstrings galore in this one. So Pickles, for those that trade him out, good work. He hurt himself. He's done a hamstring. 2 weeks we're hearing at the moment, Hurls?
Yeah, they said that it's just a standard hamstring, so probably miss next week. They got the bye the week after, and hopefully they get him back for round 13, they said. So whether that is right or not, who knows, but that's what they're saying.
Yeah, Sin injured as well, and he was subbed off early. Patrick Dangerfield has done a hamstring as well, so not sure how long he's out for. Jack Bowes did a hamstring in this game as well. So there's a fair bit going on.
Bloody oath.
Yeah.
Dangerfield out will hurt the Cats. Look,
he's been playing well quarter centre.
Yeah, he has. You'd expect they're going to win enough games over the season to be in the top 8, but he's been one of those ones. He got him over the line a couple of times where he inserted himself in the midfield when they needed a bit of run, and he's been kicking goals, so he will hurt them for sure.
Yeah, it was definitely pig string central, Jasper. Connor Rosey, 91 SuperCoach points. Pretty happy. I did trade him out in, it was the game before he went back to half back because he had that monster break even.
Yeah, before the other round.
Yeah, and I've been happily ready to swallow my pride and just go, yeah, he looks like a top 6 defender. Given the way that the weekend transpired with all the hamstring injuries and the restructuring Port Adelaide had to do, for non-owners, it's probably worked in favour because now he's got, 1 more week, and then he's got a bye, and then potentially right for the picking at 530K. So there's that. We've got Vicentini.
He's an interesting one again.
Considering as well. Are you talking Rosé? Sorry, mate.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, with Rosé, it's interesting again. Like, he's in that mix. I think before the round, he was the D6 on averages if you put him into the defence. So he's in that ballpark. If he plays, we thought he might go back and play permanent back and get kick-ins this week, remember, in the preview, because we said, well, Farrell's out, so he might go do that. But because they had so many injuries, they moved him. So he didn't get that huge game, which helps his price for non-owners. You got to weigh it up. Do you go there or do you go to one of the other defenders?
Yep, spot on. Zach Butters, we could talk about Vicentini, who's going to be a downgrade option next week, but we'll talk about him Wednesday night and during your team show on Tuesday night. But Butters, this is the big one. So people were concerned that Butters, Bontempelli, 1, they're fucking good. 2, they're going to score through their teeth and just, chew points for pain for non-owners. But there's a 53 there now, Hurls. And thanks to our man Jared in our Patreon, but also General Saunus, who's on Twitter or X as Gen Y, Gen Z, whoever they want to call themselves. People jump on and talk on these days. He's going to be around 520K in 2 weeks' time now.
Yeah, I penned an article last week about my final plan, and that was obviously before this weekend. And I had budgeted to be able to bring one of Bont or Butters in round 13 for about the 650 I was sort of allocating as in my mind. And I sort of made the call that once I do that, I can't bring the other one in because I just don't have the capital. But that 53 has made them both attainable. So I'm wrapped because if he gets down to the 550, you can bring any of them for 550. So that, I think what it did for my plans is the ordering now for me will be Bont in round 13 at the 650 mark and Butters in round 16-ish, hopefully at the 530 mark. That would be bloody brilliant.
Yeah, for sure, mate. No one else really that we're looking at for Port Adelaide there in regards to Geelong. They just had a field day when we're talking footy, winning by as much as they did. I think it was nearly 80 points in the end.
Yep.
Are we giving the sniff man, Bailey Smith, his chocolates, because he's been phenomenal.
Been awesome. Absolutely awesome. I mean, the guy just runs and runs and doesn't stop running, does he? He's
One of the best tanks in the AFL. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, look, Thursday night footy is always good, but it's going to be a cracker this Thursday night because there's going to be some genuine hatred there between the Dogs and Bailey Sniff that are coming up on Thursday night. So
that's going to be cooking.
So it'll be just get the popcorn out and see how we go and what happens. But yeah, he's been amazing, no question.
They're not playing that at Ballarat, are they?
No, I think it's at the Alphabet, isn't it? I got a feeling.
I was going to say, if it's at Ballarat, Bailey Smith might not make it out alive after these comments a couple of weeks ago.
Exactly. No, it's at Alphabet.
Mark O'Connor, 135. You're not going there. Jeremy Cameron. What worries me here? 7 goals and still only 108 SuperCoach points, so don't get suckered in there. Blick Sabs, 128 SuperCoach points.
This guy, if they said, and you can't do it because of Chris Scott. We were all talking about SDK at the start of the year, and a lot of people brought him in because he was playing ruck and all of that kind of stuff. If they said Reece Stanley's out for the whole year, we are playing Blitzarves ruck every week, he would be a great SuperCoach buy. But you can't trust it.
I'd love to have him.
Yeah,
440k he is.
Yeah. Could be an amazing pod if you trust that he's going to play. But if Reece Stanley comes back, he becomes the Stanley knife again, right? He goes, he's too good at everything, so they put him all over the place. So that's your problem.
Yep. Ollie Dempsey, 112. Brian Myers, 114. Tommy Atkins with 108. And only 5 tackles this week, probably because the other team didn't have the ball too much.
Yeah.
Interesting to see Shannon Neal get 17 hit-outs as well, alongside Blick Sabs. 80 SuperCoach points. No one else there really of note.
What about Maxi Holmes, Hawes? You mentioned him a bit earlier.
Oh, of course.
People were going him last week. Is it concerning for purchasing him? If you got him, you got him. It's fine, right? But if you're going to buy into a bloke, is it concerning that he throws in 70s this often?
To a degree, yes. Yeah.
Because he passes the eye test, and I didn't watch this game, so I can't comment on role or tagging or anything in this game. Mm-hmm. But every game I've watched of Geelong, I think, geez, he's playing well. And then I'll look at the SuperCoach scores, and it's like 60 and like 70. I'm like, what's going on here?
I think because don't they play Essendon twice still, and they played Richmond twice?
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a really good run coming up for Geelong. And if I've got Smith and Holmes for that run, I'm pretty happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to discourage people from buying him. Just one that I can't quite. Most players, you sort of know why they, are scoring what they're scoring. Yeah. He doesn't match the eye test to me. He always looks good, and then the scores don't match, and I'm like, shit, I don't know what's going on. Anyway.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next game anyway, mate.
Hopefully we talked everybody out of Jed Buse enough last week, and they didn't go there with his 45 after his 90-odd.
Unreal, yeah. Was never going to back it up. No. Next game is between, was it GWS and Freo?
GWS and Freo. I did watch this game. I took my punishment for my worst on ground podcast performance on Wednesday night, saying that Bedford would tag Callaghan and Whitfield. So my punishment was to watch the GWS Freo game in its entirety with the volume up so that I could listen to Kelly Underwood's commentary. And wasn't it a treat? My God. That's enough punishment. I don't think the punishment fit the crime. I
don't think it did. No,
I got through it.
Oh, the old nails on the chalkboard? Yeah.
It's bad.
Oh, it's shocking.
Look, you can easily make errors. I get it, but she ran. I can't remember who it was that ran into the goal square and kicked.
And he's running, and he's kicked it,
and it missed. They'd already kicked the ball in from the behind, and she was still carrying on. I was like, oh my God. Anyway, enough.
It was like she was watching it on the KO delay as well.
Yeah, I think she was.
Yeah. Anyway, Lockie Ash, 105 SuperCoach points. Not too bad. You're not looking to bring him in if you don't already have him. Finn Callaghan, confirmed dislocated shoulder. Severity, not sure. They'll come out with that tomorrow. Lockie Whitfield, though, 109. So he's going to drop a little bit of cash, Hurls. Is this inviting you to pounce soon on Winnie Blues?
Well, I already have him, so I can't
I
announce.
don't. Okay.
If you didn't have him, absolutely would be my call. He's one of those defenders that is, I think, your D1 to 3, very safe. You know, every now and then he'll cop a tag, and I think his lowest score, I think, is in the 90s this year, or maybe a high 80s. But he'll also give you, and this is one thing I haven't had the pleasure of having yet. I haven't had the big 150s that he's got since I bought him in. He's been 110s, 120s and stuff. I'm waiting for the 150s and 160s, but he does have them as well. So I would absolutely be budgeting to bring him in if I'm a non-owner.
For sure. And I'll let you know as soon as lockout opens, but Lockie Whitfield will be a part of the Horses for Courses next week. Thanks to Ryan from Astute Newstead. Use the promo code INSIGHT for all your residential home loan needs. He will help you out obligation-free if you use the code INSIGHT. Kieran Briggs, 117 this week after, 30-odd last week? Do not buy.
Nah. And Jackson, if he's the Freo number one ruck, which is what we're hearing, he's going to be staying number one ruck. He's going to still concede some points, right? Because he's not a huge hit-out ruckman. So,
that's right.
What did they go? 32, 26. So Briggs did okay. He actually played okay too around the ground, but he's been poor this year. So, definitely won't be going there.
Yep. Tom Green, definitely an interesting watch here. It'll be about 500.
He was very good. He was very good. Again, another one that just doesn't seem to get. I thought his game was much better than the 112 he got, but he does have some disposal efficiency issues. But he tried his backside off in a team that is really struggling. They are really struggling, GWS. They're nowhere near it. I don't know if it's because teams have figured out how to clog the corridor up and stop them getting through the middle. And once you do that, they seem. There was one play. If you want to watch one play and you're a footy nerd and you want to see what the issue with the GWS is, go watch the play where Shai Bolton kicks the goal after getting Lockie Whitfield holding the ball. Whitfield's got the ball, back pocket. He's got no options. He doesn't know where to go. He's like trying to go and then tried to go around him because there was no one presenting. Bolton tackled him, holding the ball, kicked the goal. It was good. But, that's GWS in a nutshell this year. They just can't move it like they have been.
I've got an even simpler reason as to why they're struggling.
What's that?
Jake Stringer.
But he didn't play.
Don't care.
I agree with you.
Taking him off Essendon's hands is your problem now, GWS.
I agree with you that has been an issue. And maybe it's still extended even further, that there's still, even without Stringer there was still Riccardi, there's still Cadman, there's still Hogan, Tom Green down there. It's like it's pretty lumbering and it's not really conducive to pressure. They're missing Daniels and those guys for sure.
Yep. For Freo, mate, Shai Bolton, do we consider him? After he had that 5, he's had like 400s in and around there.
It'll nearly be rolling out of his system now, won't it? He probably has a really low break even this week.
He's 422k. He's had a break even of 131. So he's defeated his break. He's going to be about 430k.
Yeah. So he's cheap. If you want to go a bit spicy, this is where I would consider Bolton. If you think your plan allows you to get 24 primos, so you can have an F7, then go there, because he's not going to be this cheap again, and you can carry him through and just as you get all of your upgrades done, he becomes that F7. But if you can't, I just think he's going to have a game with a 30 again, and it's going to cost you, right?
Unfortunately, yes. Sarong bounced back, kind of 36 touches, 117 SuperCoach points. Brayshaw, 99 SuperCoach points. I thought he actually did pretty well to get to that after his 30 touches.
Yeah, I was going to say 68 points in the second half. He was on 31 at halftime.
Yeah, right. Luke Jackson, 143, and has to be on people's radars if he's the number one ruck there. Longmuir has come out and said that they're looking for Jackson to be the number one ruck, and we've since learnt that within the Insight community that Darcy is on the trade block, and that Collingwood, Geelong and Carlton are all teams that have inquired already. So very much watch this space there for Sean Darcy. Jordan Clark, 109 Supercoach points. Luke Ryan, because they were winning, he doesn't score that well, 91 Supercoach points, and back to being quite mid. Cooper Simpson, though, we both like him.
Yeah, I went early on him. So I didn't trust, and look, I was proven right for the wrong reasons. I didn't trust that Sardell Hawley would be able to get 4 games in a row without the sub vest. And so I decided to go Cooper Simpson this week with an eye on being able to get Vicentini next week and still make an upgrade. And just on the chance that Vicentini and Simpson were both viable, I didn't want to have to lock into 2 downgrades next week. So I went that way. He played well, didn't get his score, had it on the bench, but at least I've already got him. And he's got to be in the team for a little while now, surely. Has to be.
Looks good. Looks really good. No one else really there to talk about the Fremantle.
A little note on Erasmus. I made the call halfway through the third quarter that thank goodness he was sub last week because he was on like 6 points. And he got 50 points in the last quarter and a half. So the kid can play. They just don't have a role that's going to be what he needs yet. But it's not going to help us. We can't go there. But it's he showed in that quarter and a half that he can play.
For sure. Let's move on to the next game, mate, which is, I believe, the Essendon game against the Western Bulldogs. I'll talk through this one quite quickly. We're both Essendon supporters, as everyone knows.
I'm still donning the T-shirt, mate. It is what it is.
Did Bailey Dale break the record for most disposals?
For the Bulldogs, yes. So
that's
47
unreal,
was the most for the Bulldogs.
And you think of the players that have played before him, like your Liberatores or Bontempelli even right now. Treloar's been one that has just racked it up in the past.
Yeah.
Brad Johnson, Rowan Smith, like they've just had guns right through their history, and Bailey Dale now holds the record.
Yeah. I think Ryan Griffin might have been the one on 47, if I'm not incorrect.
That'd be right.
Yeah. So, great game from him. I mean, I'm no coach, but if I wanted to let Bailey Dale get 49 touches, the man that I would put on him is Ben Hobbs, and that's what we did. So I just don't understand that move whatsoever. I'm not a Brad Scott basher. I think he made some big errors in this game for sure, but I think the players made 400 times the errors he made. So I'm not going to say this was about the coach, but Ben Hobbs on Ben Dale was a joke, and subbing out Sardell Hawley at halftime, even though it probably wasn't the best in the first half, but the game was done at halftime. So give the kid another game. I didn't get that. I really didn't understand it.
I didn't watch any of this game, given that I was busy, mate. But was he really that poor to be subbed off at halftime?
No. Yeah, he wasn't that poor. I've made this call to a few Essendon fans this week. The 2 that I thought should have been subbed, Jai Caldwell is nowhere near it yet. He's just coming back from injury, so cut him some slack. He's a great footballer, but he was struggling. We were getting smashed in the middle. And the other one that I would have subbed, and this would have been to take advantage of the fact that this game was done, I would have given Kako half a game rest. Yep. He's done a lot of running this year for a first-year player, a lot of unrewarded chasing in the forward half. I would have taken him off and given him half a game rest and let Al Hawley run the game out. But I'm not the coach, so I don't know.
Yeah. Ryan Griffin and Jack McRae were tied for 47. Thank you,
Sunda
and Rizza.
There you go. Yeah.
So 49 touches, you'd think you'd get more than 144 Supercoach points, though, wouldn't you?
He did. I think his disposal efficiency was down. I think he had a fair few clangers. But amongst 49 touches, he probably had a sore foot, so some of them didn't go off too well.
Liberatore, for those that bought him in, 140, very nice. Ed Richards only 106, but still you'd be happy with that. While he had Durham running with him, Tingles 122 again. Bontempelli 140, love to see it. Matt Kennedy only 87, but 31 touches. Really like his role, and you'd be happy with the role that he's playing there, mate. The Fridge,
he was
only 73 Supercoach points. Was he?
Yeah, big time. He was good, Kennedy. He was underscored. But they just tend to give all the points to Bont. That's why Dale didn't get enough as well.
And that's why Bont's a part of the horses for courses.
Yeah.
We'll head across to Essendon. Zach Reed, only 75 SuperCoach points. How did he play?
I thought he played well. He didn't in a game where the ball lived inside defensive 50. I thought him and Ben Mackay were okay. Reed didn't lose a defensive one-on-one. Mackay held his own against Norton, even though Norton doesn't help himself because he misses bloody that many shots at goal and stuff, even if no one's on him. But we didn't have many winners for the night. Durham tried his backside off. Most of them, I would have loved to see a missed tackles column because they just, all of them, every single one of them were poor in their tackling efforts. It just went straight through. But it was one of those games. Like, Dogs are a good team. We're not a good team. We're not. And they got they sniffed a bit of blood in the water, and they really did expose our transition and our lack of run. So it was disappointing, but we move on.
Yeah. And for those that listen to our channel, our podcasts, whether it be on audio or YouTube, we do take the piss a little bit calling them Flagdogs. We're fully aware that we're in a rebuild and that it is a bit of tongue-in-cheek. So, yeah, we fucking sucked on Saturday night. There's just no other way to say it. But we will bounce back because hopefully we play West Coast or North Melbourne again soon, Squid.
No, we play the Tigers in Dreamtime on Friday night.
Shit. So. Actually, I'm taking Deadly to that one. Kizza's going to that one as well, and Brody and a few other lads. Pistol Pete, I think, will be there. There'll be quite a few lads.
I think that the Tigers will challenge us in different ways. Like, we should be able to get enough of the game on our terms to win the game, but they will challenge us in one aspect, and that's the gut running that we lack. They will try to do over the back. But you would think we'll get enough of the ball on our terms.
For sure. Richmond versus North Melbourne next game, and this actually turned out to be a bit of a cracker, mate.
Yeah, I was watching this one I was at Tyler's footy and watching some of the scores and in some of the chats and that. I didn't see the whole game, but it looked like it was close the whole game. I mean, as a Sherry owner now, I was happy that he got 150. I still think the Rucks get points for nothing, but anyway, you got a bloke getting 49 touches, didn't even get 150.
Well, wasn't he running? I think it was 12% disposal efficiency at half time.
Yeah. Anyway, let's not go there. I think I was annoying everyone in the WhatsApp chat with all of my carry on that today, so they're probably sick of hearing it. I think if you're a Tigers fan though, you'd be bloody happy. Another game went to the wire. They've won 4. North fans would be ecstatic. They got the win that they've been building over the last few weeks. I think that's 2 for the year now. So just probably a good day for both sets of fans. In all honesty.
Yeah, I think so. Nankervis was really good. 128 SuperCoach points. Jack Ross, 110. This is that spike game. Please don't consider him. Taranto, 30 touches, 111. Hopper, 95. Sam Banks has been pretty good the last couple of weeks without Jaden Short back there, mate. 25 touches, 88 SuperCoach points.
Huge raps before the game from the coach too about his leadership, the fact that he's, really driving standards and all that. So really good call. Until last week, I have to be honest, I'd never really even noticed him. And in the last 2 weeks, without Jaden Short, he's been fantastic. Maybe they should not worry about Jaden Short. Good,
yeah. Very good point. But TR just brought up a good point. 47 hitouts to Nank, 51 to Cherry. That's 98 hitouts.
The bits that I did see, it was one of the rucks hitting to someone, whether it was their own team or the opposition, and the other ruckman tackling that bloke. Ball up again. And they over and over and over and over and over again. Yeah. It was crazy.
Have a look at some of these tackle numbers, mate. 13 to Nank, 11 to Jack Ross. We jump across to North, 12 tackles to Cherry, 10 tackles to Colby McKercher. That would take his career tally to 10. Harry Sheasel had 10 tackles. George Wardlaw had 10 tackles. You never see multiple double-digit tackles from multiple people in the one side, let alone both teams having multiple tackles like that.
No. It was just the ball never escaped the little radius. The tap was down and it was a tackle. Tap down, tackle, tap down, tackle. It was crazy.
Unreal. Cherry, though, 150. Colby McKercher, 129. Sheasel, 77 Supercoach points from his 20. LDU went 117. Nice one. Jack Darling had his once in a blue moon game with 95. Wardlaw back into the team, 80 Supercoach points. Jai Simpkin a little bit down, 72. But Caleb Daniel, 25 touches, 97 Supercoach points. This was a direct result, and Skiddy identified this on Wednesday night. Shout out to our man, the Squid, that said, Sheasel back into the middle. Caleb Daniel will go back, and he'll retain the role that he had previously.
Yeah, and it did happen. I don't know that it happened with any great effect, to be completely honest. I didn't think Sheasel had much impact. Yeah, he had 20 touches, but he would have probably had 40 if he was playing at the other end. I don't know. I get why they're doing it. What do you do now with Daniel? Let's get a super coach for a minute. What do you like? You're not going to do anything with Sheasel yet, probably, because you just want to see what happens. But if you got Daniel, he was in my trade out plans. Now he's got a 97. What do you do?
I don't know.
It's a bit of a sort of.
Well, the plan was always to move him on, but I think this just buys him one more week now, and then he's got his bye.
Who do they play? North next week. You got Collingwood. He's not going to get a kick against Collingwood, is he?
Remember what happened last year? North nearly knocked him off. Collingwood had to stage the remarkable comeback just to beat North.
I was going to say, and Collingwood are not really renowned for stopping players. They just play their own game. So maybe he scores okay. I don't know. I don't know what I need to do to make an upgrade next week. So if he has to go, he might go because he's got to buy the week after anyway. We'll see.
Yep. And that's about it. Great mark to Toby Pink at the end there to save the game for North Melbourne. He got 80 Supercoach points, 2 in the titty. Well done. But apart from that, let's move on, mate, to the next game, which was between Brisbane and Melbourne.
This was okay.
For me, this is probably one of the upsets, mate.
Yeah, I only saw the second half. The first half I was at the local footy, but Melbourne were not even in it for the first half of the third quarter. And then all of a sudden they got a couple of goals, and it was almost like Brisbane forgot that they were still in a contest, and they snuck up on them, hit the front, and then they couldn't get the lead back. It was really weird.
That's right.
It was almost they were in cruise control, and then all of a sudden they were behind.
Talk to me about Zorko. He's had 2 good weeks in a row now. Is he a buy candidate?
Yeah, I think he is. I think Zorko has proven that if you don't run someone with him and you let him get ball through the centre of the ground, he's what he always is. Now he was on, I think, 67 at half time and only ended on 99. So it wasn't a huge second half, but I think, and I don't know, in SuperCoach, I always try to trust the guys who I know what they can do. And I bought him at the start of the year and he was frustrating. So now at least he's getting some okay scores. I probably think he's a lot of value now. So you would probably go there if you got him for 530, 540. Why not?
For sure. Zach Bailey, 123, continues to perform okay for the Brisbane Lions. The Suitcase, 103. I thought he was on his way to much more than that, but slowed up towards the end. Lockie Gill, 116. Yeah. Josh Dunkley, 110. Will Ashcroft, another ton, 108. Darcy Gardner with 4 goals up forward. You'll never see that again. Kitty Coleman, though. Good to see him back playing AFL footy, 72 Supercoach points. This is definitely someone we've got our eyes on, Hurls.
It is. It didn't have a huge second half. I think he must have got a few of his points in the first half, and I didn't see that. He got a few intercept possessions. 72 is okay. But again, he's one of these guys that, how many can you bring in? And this is what we all have to work through in our own minds. How many of Coleman, Mills, Vicentini, Philippou can you bring in now? Because we want to have upgraded teams so that you got no rookies on the field coming out of best 22 into round 17, right? If you go these guys, can you still get your upgraded teams happening? I think you can go a couple, but I don't think you can go all of them.
I'm going to put it this way to you, Hurls. 19 touches, 68% time on ground. First game back at the AFL level for a year and a half. 72 SuperCoach points. He'll get his legs back underneath him. I think this could be a player that you could pick up and go, this is his first game, so give him another week next week just to make sure that he can get through that. You pick him up at 270K or whatever he is.
Something like that, yeah.
He could make it 200K and be a D7.
He could, and so is that the play? It's a cash cow. Like I think that's what
you've got to consider him a cash. You've got to consider him a cash cow. Like your 3 steps, you got your keeper, your stepping stone, or your cash cow. For him, I think he's a cash cow. But then if he's pumping out 105s to 110s in the back half of the year, and one of our primos shits the bed, then you could potentially keep him and loop in his score. Yeah.
And maybe a couple of these blokes are the luxuries that, we're all struggling for cash, let's be honest. So maybe these do give you the opportunity to have your D7 and your F7s.
We could go sideways from Trainer to Kitty Coleman.
Yeah, absolutely you could.
Yeah. So there's something to consider.
The trouble with that is though, and this is all I mean by it, is if you go sideways, you don't unlock the cash to do another upgrade. So as long as you can still upgrade your team with your rookies being sold off and stuff, it's fine. But if you went, and this is where I think it's going to hurt, if you went 4 of them, because you can go sideways to Vicentini, sideways to this guy, sideways to Mills, sideways to Philippou, right? And they might all pump out 80s. And that's good. They'll make a lot of cash. But you're not unlocking the cash by going to them. That's the bit that is the hard part to manufacture. That's all.
For sure. If I said to you, and we'll touch on Philippou in a minute, Philippou at 310K, Kitty Coleman at 270K. For me, with the way that Ross, the boss, uses Philippou and Kitty Coleman's role running off half-back for Brisbane Lions, I'd argue that Kitty Coleman has the better role at less of a price.
I don't doubt that. I won't argue that point. The only little, I guess, asterisk you put on that is Saints lost again today to the bottom team. Mm-hmm. Do they put Philippou in the guts at some stage soon and that role changes?
Mm-hmm.
We won't know because he's on the bubble, so we have to pick him or we don't pick him, right? But maybe, and I don't know, I haven't looked closely enough at the numbers yet. Maybe you don't have to pick Philippou at 310. Maybe you leave Philippou until he's 370 and he gets a role change.
Yeah, I think they're all really good talking points, aren't they?
Yeah. And we're all got to wrestle with them because we're all struggling for cash. We're all got to find different ways to make money or different ways to complete our team.
That's right. There's no right way or wrong way.
There isn't.
Spot on, mate. So regardless of which way you go, it is your team, ladies and gentlemen. So the way that you do choose, it's not the wrong way. It might be the right way. It might not be. But ultimately, you do what you can do to make your team a better side. For Melbourne, mate, Maxi Gawn. For those that paid up, me included, 119 SuperCoach points. But you know what? This is his second highest score ever at the Gabba.
He saved his bacon in the last 15 minutes. He was on about 83, and I'm sitting there going, this is going to really hurt. Like, everyone's now got Sherry. Yeah, I think he was 86% in the top 1% owned him already, and more would have bought him in this week. Gawn was still only 64, so there's still a little bit of uniqueness there. And I was thinking, shit, this is going to kill all of us who have got him. And he got up to 119, which was great because he took a couple of contested marks at the end, intercept marks, and saved his score. So it was good.
For sure. Pickett, 115, doing his transfer markets.
Played well.
Value.
Played really well.
Pretty well, yeah. Ed Langdon, 101. Melksham, 98. Rivers, 92. Petrarca, 94. You're an owner of Petrarca?
Yeah. He's just a bit middling. Is that the right word? Mediocre, middling?
Well,
like
I never got him.
He's playing okay. Yeah, I don't think you have to. I don't think you have to get him. Like, he got those big won 29s against crap teams, and he's proven for the rest of the year he's about a 90s, 95s player. So you don't have to have him. But yeah, he's not going bad either. So I don't mind having him. I just wish that not all of my buy-ins were going 95s.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the problem.
Clayton Oliver, by all reports, looked really good. 99 SuperCoach points. Tiger,
Yep.
or Pistol Pete, sorry, his man Bowie, 106 SuperCoach points and continues to score really well. But Jonas, I'm going to bring up your comment, mate. What was the go with the Lions jumper today? I didn't like it.
Well, they're all wearing their Indigenous jumpers, so I'm not sure. It would have been maybe made by someone. I can't comment because I didn't hear, but I don't know.
I'm sure the meaning behind it's all well and good, but I guess just some spots on the jumper that made it it just didn't look good. Whether it was the colours or the style, I'm not sure, but yeah, just wasn't a fan of it. Aiden Johnson.
Before you go past this next bloke, Horse, he was outstanding today, Xavier Lindsay.
Was he?
67 is criminal. His third quarter was one of the reasons Melbourne won this game. Yeah, I think he had 9 or 10 touches in the third quarter alone. He was really, really impressive.
Okay, good. He is a gun. There's no doubt about it, and he will be a very good player for a long time for Melbourne. Aiden Johnson, he is playing again, and will reward those that held on to him, me included, for this long with a little bit of cash. Let's go on to the next game, mate, which is our last game of the round. And West Coast,
the final game.
They got a win against St Kilda. We called this on Wednesday night.
Yeah, we did say that it could be possible. West Coast at home they're only going to win some home games, aren't they? And if you don't really turn up, and St Kilda like the small, shitty, pokey little Marvel Stadium. It's not that small, but you know what I mean. They do like closing the space. Optus Stadium, you can't do that. And West Coast just never looked like losing this game.
Nope. No, Hoff was pretty good. 112 SuperCoach points from his 24 touches. Jack Graham, 101. Detroit Pistons legend Malachi Flynn. Matty Flynn, for those of you playing at home, 111 SuperCoach points. Marich, only 85, but I'm happy with that, given that the ball wasn't really down there too much this game in comparison to previous weeks. Baker, 103. I'm still not sold on his game. I think this is that spike score, but Harley Reid finally turned it on today, Hurls.
Yeah, and a bit of a different kind of role, a bit half forward, a bit in the middle. I don't know, maybe took some of the stupidity out of his game. Like, there was still a couple of incidents, a couple of moments, but he didn't look like he was running around wanting to kill someone at every contest, which gives free kicks against and stuff. Even though he did concede 3 free kicks, it was a little bit more of a controlled game for him. Yeah, and he's a jet. We know he's a jet. He's just he's only young, right?
Yeah, he's still only 19 years of age.
Yeah,
like he's still young.
Yeah.
Elijah Hewitt, 57. He's probably finding himself on the trade block this week. I don't know too much longer.
I'm not sure what the order's going to be. Like, if you've got Riley Bice, he's got to go. If you've got Hewitt, he's not far away. If you got there's a few that are lining up now. Trainer got subbed off. He's probably nearly out the door. So there's a few of these kind of rookies. You've got to probably look at fixture to see which one stays in your team for one more week and which one goes now.
Yeah. Rowan Marshall went absolutely bonkers today, mate. 179, rewarding those that went to Rowan Marshall instead of a Gorn or Cherry. It's all well and good, but I want to ask you this, Hurls. If you don't have Marshall in your side and you held TDK, we touched on it a little bit earlier, but St Kilda don't play West Coast every week, and Marshall won't be playing Flynn every week.
No.
Are you seriously considering Marshall next week?
I don't know what the numbers look like now. Like when he was 470 was the time to jump on Marshall if you were looking for someone to make some cash.
Yep.
I can't go there. Not now. He's going to go up again.
He will go to about 530K.
Yeah, coming through the chat that he's got Wits next week, so I think that
and
already
then he's got Gorn after that.
That's right. So I think it caps his scoring against those big guys. It caps his scoring. If you went there 2 weeks ago for some cash, this score was what you needed. I think well done. This is what you needed. You needed this big score to account for a couple of maybe 90s that might be coming up. But has it worked as a stepping stone? I think the next 2 weeks will tell that rather than just today. Today it looks like a good move, but in 2 weeks' time, if he plateaus a little bit, do you get any closer to Gorn if that was your plan? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Sinclair 131, he got scaled up 6 points at the end of this game. Steele 92, Wilkie 114 down back, but no other tons there. Wangan and Malera, though, this is interesting alongside Holmes, both potential D6 options, but only 63 for the Wang today.
He was, he looked like went off injured a few times. Like, I don't know what it was, but it seemed something was bothering him. He still got heaps of the footy, but it wasn't his usual self. So it brings him into calculations after his bye. He's got now round 11 next week, then round 12. They've got the round 13 bye. So it's perfect timing, really, to bring him in round 14 if you were looking at that.
So he's got Gold Coast next week at Marvel. And then he's got Melbourne in TP. Is that Darwin? Traeger Park, TIO Park, yeah. And then he's got the bye. He could be right straight after the bye.
And the other thing to note, and again, I don't know if this was because he was feeling a bit sore or something, but he went back to the back flank in the last quarter and a half, and Sinclair went into the guts.
Right.
Whereas it's been the other way around for the last few weeks, where they've put him through the middle and Sinclair's stayed back. They switched that role in the second half today, but it could have been because he couldn't run. I don't know. He just seemed a bit sort of off.
Now let's touch on the elephant in the room, mate, and that's Mateus Philippou. He is on the bubble now.
Yep.
Do we go there? For me, I'm saying no, not right now.
Yeah, how can you go to a guy that's 310,000 off a 70
71 and a 50? Yeah.
How can you? Like, not well, you can go there if your plan is just putting him at F7 or something and hope he comes good. But I think the maths tells me that you just wait.
He may even have like an 80 or 90 break even this week.
That's what I mean. He might even drop some cash. I haven't looked at the break evens and that yet, but I think it's again maybe a wait and see with Philippou.
I think it is. I think it has to be, mate.
Yeah,
it has to be.
You'd have to be pretty gutsy to bring in a 53 bloke, wouldn't you, at 310k?
Oh, it'd be balls to the wall type of stuff. But given that he's going to have a higher break even than what he's scored the first 2 weeks, I think this would be a classic case of trying to outthink the room and not in a good way.
Nah, and you've got Cooper Simpson, if you didn't go early on him.
Dante Vicentini's 50k less.
That's what I mean. Dante Vicentini, if you flex is the position, Cooper Simpson's in the forward line like him and will most likely, if he plays the 3 games, get defensive DPP. I just don't think he's a play this week. He may be in a few weeks because I don't think his cash is going to move, but or it might move downwards rather than up. So I don't think so. I don't think you go there.
For sure. Jonas, are we going to call Matt Flynn the ruck bag or the ruck doll for what the other ruckmen do to him or want to do to him?
He actually played okay today too, but he just can't compete in the middle.
Have you noticed that once I got home, I watched a fair bit of this game, but when he gets tired, he just wants to wrestle?
Yes.
And then these more athletic rucks just get a hold of him?
Yeah. Yeah, and he also once he gets tired, he can't, because he got most of his scoring from getting ahead or behind the ball. He doesn't get his possession. Sorry, he doesn't get his points from ruck. He gets them from winning the footy, intercept marks, etc. So he got a bit of that, but then once he gets tired, that even goes. He can't get around.
Yeah. So Corey's saying 55 break even for Philippou.
Yeah.
So even if he scores 100, he makes 20k and he's still 330k.
Yeah, that's it. Let that go. I don't think there's any need to bring Philippou in.
No, I don't think so either. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do us for our questions. Our games this evening. We're going to get straight into some questions.
It's question time. Let's answer your questions for the week ahead.
PW, have a great call, guys. Love your work, love your contact, love your banter. Love it, mate. Thank you very much for your support, your continued support. Worst jumper of all time, Jonas is calling the Brisbane Lions jumper today.
There you go. Fair enough.
Hey, Cheese. This is categorically the best SuperCoach channel on YouTube. Kerry O'Keefe, my man! Yes! Just in regards to our mental health and raising the awareness for it, self-reflective writing, meditation, reading, cold showers, exercise, and not going for St Kilda are some of the things you can do to improve your mental health. Driz, how'd your Legends go this week? 2-3-2-4 for me. Good score, mate. How'd you go, Hurls?
Absolutely terrible. My score was 2-2-2-2. Richie Benno would have enjoyed it.
Richie Benno would be turning right now. That is awesome.
2 for 22. He would have enjoyed it. But other than that, it was, again, mediocre. I'm about 150 off the pace every week, the last 2 weeks. And it is solely down to my primos. Merritt 65. I think I got 6 tons only.
Yeah, right.
My team. So very poor.
How many do I get? I got 2,380. I had Clark turned up, Bontempelli turned up, Neil turned up, Sarong turned up, Dawson turned up, Gawn, Cherry, Warner, Smith. Yeah. But then, Ned Long's been a nice sneaky addition to my team. He's been really good and got him in nice and cheap. Squid, this winning feeling is strange. Big fan of it. Our resident North Melbourne man.
Enjoy it, mate. Enjoy it.
Yeah. Victoria is allowing Deadly into the state. Who approved that? Jeez, I don't know. It's a bit dodgy, isn't it? Is Rosier Monty for mid-defence status? Yes, he is. He will get it. So we are looking at
I heard some talk about people panicking that he's not going to get it. He's locked in. He's locked in.
He's
I thought.
Locked in. It's a certainty now. He has played enough defence. Yep. Shitnet, best on in the showers. Thanks, Kerry. Cheese, would you hold TDK if they dual ruck next week with Pitto? Absolutely fucking not.
Nah, if they dual ruck, punt him. It's hard for me to argue anything else because I punted in this week. So, I wouldn't hold him if he's dual ruck.
Have a look at this. 2-5-5-1 in Backers League. That's huge. That'll go close to winning it. Corey scored a 2-4-4-7 this week. That's massive, Green Arrows, Corey.
That's a good score.
Nice job, mate.
Love it.
Grant organised a meeting between Stephen Dank and Todd Goldstein, so should come good shortly. Just don't tell anyone, please.
Poor Goldie, my goodness. He's trying his ass off out there. He's 36. He's supposed to be enjoying ruck coach and he's having to get out there and play.
Can I ask you, mate, do you think that this is now going to give Hugo Vicentini
Vigo
opportunity? Vigo, sorry, not Hugo. Vigo.
No, not.
He's been pretty
really.
good in the VFL.
I think he'll get a couple of games, but they're not going to kill him. He's too slight. So I think at some point through the year they'll probably try to map out a couple of rests for Goldie, and give Vigo a couple of games. But I don't think they'll rush him. To be completely honest, Goldie just signed a contract for next year as well, so he's signed up for another season. Really? So I think, and before everyone gets too carried away, like this year, Goldie is Essendon's ruck coach, but the soft cap is at the brim, and everyone's soft cap.
Basically insurance.
Every club's soft cap is at the brim, so Essendon have more chance of putting him on the player salary cap than they do on the coaching salary cap, so that's why he's signing again. He's insurance, and this year the insurance had to get sort of used, unfortunately.
James P, good lad, Jimmy. Boxall, 29 touches, 7 tackles, and a goal in the VFL. Not too shabby. Hopefully he comes back in this week after they shit the bed against West Coast. The Pencil as well, 22 touches, 8 tackles for Hawthorn in the VFL.
This is what happens with these guys, right? And I mentioned him earlier when I was talking about Sheldrick. Sheldrick would be the same if they put him back in the VFL. Sardis had 41 and 10 clearances the last VFL game he played. These guys dominant in the VFL, but it's a different game in the AFL. So they take time to get used to the pace. And most of these guys we're talking about play centre bounce mid. It's a hard role to play centre bounce mid in the AFL and you haven't got the core strength.
James, you wouldn't want to lose against the Tigers this week, Horse. I know. Anyone that's going to be at the G for Dreamtime at the G, hit me up, send me a DM. Love having problems and meeting people in our community.
Last year was the only time we beat Richmond in the last 25 years, wasn't it? So it's no surprise if we lose to Richmond.
Yeah. I'll just get blind and hopefully forget about it the next day.
The good thing for me, Zach Merritt is a massive VC next week because he loves the Tigs. He gets 150 against them every time. Will
Ashcroft 55% CBAs today. Does that get him closer to DPP? Yes. Will he get it? No. He needs to play basically whole games forward now to get that forward at DPP. Kitty looked all class today, just need the run. Yeah, I'm with you, mate. I'm definitely looking to bring him in. Jasper, what do we do with Pickles? Well, I don't have him.
Who cares?
Yeah.
No, look, it's a really good question, Jasper.
It is.
He's probably, if you believe the club, he's back in round 13. He was already missing round 12 anyway, so you'd already accounted for that. So if you can cover him for 1 week, maybe you hold him. What it does do, I hate to say this, Horse, it opens up an opportunity for him to be cheap in 5 weeks' time.
I know.
For those of us who might get tempted.
I know.
Because he got a 19 or whatever it was this week. Yeah. So he's gonna drop some serious coin.
Yeah, he is.
So non-owners probably have more to think about than owners. I think Jasper, you probably hold him if it's only a 1 week out.
Yeah. And Ray, if you guys had a boost, what would you do this week? I've already got Simpson. I think Visentini might be a go. I actually really liked his ruck work.
Yeah. You don't have to use the boost this week either.
No, you don't. If you've got a boost, you can use then 4 trades during the buy rounds.
Yeah. So it depends. I would be weighing, if I had a boost, which was never going to happen because I used my last one last week and I would have used another one this week if I could have. But if I had a boost, I would probably weigh up, is there a double upgrade you could make with that boost? So can you go, 3 rookies to 2 keepers and a rookie? If you can't, I'd be inclined to hold it and just align which buy do I think 4 trades would be beneficial in.
Yeah.
That's probably how I would think about it.
Yep. Back up. What did Sweet do in the 2s this week? You can
Hopefully
start
it was
with
Sweet FA.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing.
I don't know, but I hope it was Sweet FA.
Sweet dropped off massively before Visentini came into the side, and given that he's younger, and yes, Port got smashed in the AFL, but Visentini was probably one of the better Port Adelaide players. Port got smashed because Sin went down, because Pickles went down. They had injuries everywhere. They had to try and just stopgap, I guess, positions on the field, and the game was gone before anything could really happen. So we say this, or not we say this, but coaches say this from time to time, that when things just don't go your way and there's nothing that you can do, they won't go back and review that, or certain elements of that. They won't go back and review that because there's nothing that they could have done that would have prevented what happened. So instead of having to relive that scenario over and over again, they'll just put it in the back pocket and go, you know what, we're done with it. It was a shit show. There was nothing we could have done about it. It's just one of those weeks. Let's just move on and probably just reinforce some of the positives that they had been doing previously. So I think Visentini's been good. And if you see team sheets when they come out on Thursday night and it's got Visentini as the number 1 ruck and Sweet is still an emergency, then jump on.
Yeah, I think he's in my plans. I just have to weigh up all these rookies that are going to be at their break even or worse and see what happens. But he is definitely a consideration.
Yeah. Mate, hour and a half. We're done. Where can the guys at home find you?
in the fetal position trying to figure out how I salvage my bloody SuperCoach season for the next few days. Now I'm really looking forward to the buys. I've planned meticulously for the buys, like everyone knows that I do, and I'm expecting to have a really big bounce back over the next not next week, who knows about next week, but from round 12 onwards, that's where I'm going to really attack this season and have a crack, and I won't die wondering, let's put it that way. Other than that, follow me on X, Twitter, whatever you call it. And back on here Tuesday night and Wednesday night.
100%. We're going to try and bring you SuperCoach Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from here on in, ladies and gentlemen. If we miss a night, we apologise, but we love talking footy, we love talking SuperCoach, and we love communicating, talking shit, I guess, with you guys at home, whether it be on X, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on audio. But if anything is taken out of tonight, it's that it's not weak to speak, and it's okay to not be okay. So if you're feeling down, if you've got some thoughts running through your head that may not be in line with how you're normally feeling, reach out to a friend, reach out to a loved one, talk to your neighbour, go for a walk, find something that makes you happy, because you are the most important person in this world. And for anyone that tries to tell you otherwise, one, they're a piece of shit, but two, you're obviously living rent-free in their head for no apparent reason. So, ladies and gentlemen, look after your mental health. Hurls and I, we're signing off for tonight. Our community is the best. Look after yourselves, and we'll see you soon. Peace.